SUI and its corresponding ecosystem are on fire right now. If you're anything like me, you've been following, you've probably had some difficulty keeping up with everything that's going on in terms of developments, in terms of updates, in terms of impressive announcements and partnerships. They've been keeping busy. The SUI token had a spectacular September, and over the last 35 days or so, it saw a 126% increase. And while I'm recording here, as per CoinGecko, it's already ranked number 25 by market cap. And because of the classification differences, number 19 on coinmarketcap.com. It also recently increased its TVL to $1 billion. We're now above $1 billion, but that represented a 70% increase over the course of just 1 month. And as per TVL rank across all chains, that puts SUI into the number 9 spot. The number of daily active users recently shot up by 300%. And so we've made this comparison before. In a lot of ways, 2024, as we're entering the 2024-2025 bull run for SUI, looks a lot like the 2021 bull run did for Solana and the SOL token. We're going to ask the question today: how many SUI tokens do you need to invest today in order to become a SUI crypto millionaire at the height of this bull market? Welcome to the channel. My name is Maddie and this is Altcoin Buzz. All the best of luck if you choose to invest. I genuinely wish you well. You just got to remember that I'm not a financial or investment advisor, and by extension, this video is not official financial or investment advice. Let's zoom out a little bit, broad angle perspective here for just a moment and ask the question, what is SUI? Just in case you're uninitiated. Well, SUI launched last year on the 3rd of May, so May 3rd, 2023. That means it's a fairly new layer 1 chain. SUI's team used to work on Diem, that is the abandoned blockchain project by Meta or Facebook. It was kind of their stab at their own sort of sovereign currency. You may remember that. However, one thing that they took with them from the Diem project is Move. That is the coding language that they developed there. And Move sets itself apart from other programming language for various reasons, but primarily because it's an object-centric chain. Objects make asset management easier, in fact. If you're a programmer or maybe just more technically inclined than most and you want to find out more about these objects and Move as a programming language, you can check out this article on our website, altcoinbuzz.io. I'll also link to that below in the description. But getting back to SUI as a project, during its first year, the chain had a pretty quiet period. But during the last couple of months, as we've seen, SUI has exploded, especially during September of this year, so last month. The marketing team went so far as to rename the entire month SUI Timber, and in this case it was justified. There's a good reason for them doing that. One of the major reasons, and what got us especially excited, was the pre-order list for the SUI Play 0x1. This is the first Web3 native handheld gaming device, and just the pre-orders alone actually set all kinds of records with regards to this categorization of electronic. It did really, really well. And then back in May, SUI launched Misty SETI. This is an upgrade to their consensus mechanism. It made it the fastest chain around, and that means it can now confirm transactions within 390 milliseconds. In other words, almost instantaneously. And looking ahead, although not that far ahead, just a few months to Q1 2025, SUI is going to launch Walrus. This is a decentralized storage platform, kind of like Filecoin, and it's going to have its own native WAL token. That's WAL. Like I said, there's a lot of news. That's just kind of scratching the surface, really, of the news that we can highlight here. But for the purposes of just defining the project, giving you a bird's eye perspective of SUI, that's what it's been up to. That's what the team has been doing. There's a lot of other stuff in terms of previous coverage that we've discussed in the past. You can check that out if you want. But I think that we've kind of defined the project, what they're doing, what they're all about. Let's move on now to some technical analysis, some TA for the SUI token. And we have to consider the fact that its current all-time low was 36.4 cents. That occurred on the 19th of October last year, just about exactly a year ago. The most recent support was at 53 cents in August of this year, August 2024. But it doesn't look at the moment like SUI is going to drop to 53 cents anytime soon. There could always be a black swan event in crypto, so I'll never say never. But the fact is, if you bought SUI below $1, you did well. You're pretty much, you've doubled your money by now, possibly better. Now we're down slightly on the day, just off of all-time highs recently at $1.99 right now. That's down nearly 5% on the day. The current resistance really sits right now at $2.35. That's the recent all-time high that we saw. Once SUI can break through this, there's realistically no stopping it anytime soon. We're going to be in uncharted territory. There may be some smaller corrections, but the general tendency here, especially given where we are right now as we enter the bear market, the general tendency is going to be upwards. And SUI sits right now at a 5.488, nearly $5.5 billion market cap. So all-time highs and market caps, that stuff is all well and good. Let's consider SUI Tokenomics, though, for a moment, because if we consider the performance of the token, it went from $1.33 at launch down to 36 cents, like I mentioned, October last year. That's not great, but the comeback has been pretty impressive. In February and March of this year, it had two consecutive, at that time, all-time highs of $1.91 and $2.17. Looking at the last year of performance here, the SUI token is up about 300%. And like I mentioned, the last month, especially as we came out of September, has been very good. I'm going to zoom out a little bit further here so that we can consider the last 6 weeks or so, kind of beginning of September to where we are now on the 17th of October. You can see here that we went up by an impressive 130, 135, maybe 140% or so. Like I said, the current price is $1.99 with now a $5.5 billion market cap. So it's been a pretty extraordinary run here over these last 5-6 weeks or so during a time when the rest of the market has not been that confident, certainly. The only thing we're not crazy about is, as you can see here, we have a total and max supply of 10 billion tokens, but only 2.76 billion are currently in circulation, meaning only 27.6% are in circulation. It's a younger project, so that's kind of excusable, I suppose, but there are certainly young projects with better circulating supplies. That's the only negative here when evaluating the tokenomics that I think is worth mentioning. It's not a deal breaker. It's just kind of underwhelming as a metric, 27.6% circulation. But having said that, earlier this month, there was a big token unlock of $110 million. But still, with SUI's recent momentum, it didn't really make much of an impact, whereas token unlocks usually do. That wasn't quite the case for SUI, which is nice to see. It continued on its climb, and the price went even higher. It actually achieved new all-time highs following that token unlock, which is very impressive. So just keep that in mind. Again, that circulating supply, future token unlocks, because their vesting schedule only ends in April of 2030. So we still have a few years to go. On a different note, however, SUI as a token has outperformed BTC by over 220% since early August. And if you take that in consideration with the TVL explosion, I mean, we're talking about a very impressive project here and very impressive performance by SUI as a token, at least at the moment right now. Certainly, that's undeniable. And I haven't even mentioned this yet, but also we have native USDC that's coming to SUI at any moment. When this is officially announced, it's going to pump the SUI DeFi sector even more. And we can probably expect further upwards price action in response to this very good news. And don't forget that you can also stake your SUI straight in your SUI wallet. Staking periods start and end with each epoch. A SUI epoch lasts about 24 hours, so they're pretty accessible and pretty frequent. This is just a period during which selected validators process transactions. So, in other words, there's certainly no long unstaking period.
And so if this market pulls back hard under this level and then consolidates and comes back, we're likely to sell and stall.
So how many SUI do we need to purchase today, to own today, in order to be a SUI crypto millionaire at the height of its value in this crypto bull run? Okay, well, I already mentioned all the reasons that we very much like SUI. Certainly it's TVL, the Misty SETI update, Walrus, which is upcoming in Q1 of 2025. The native USDC is coming. Again, that's a really big deal. And that aggressively increasing number of daily active users. That's huge. It reflects the popularity of the ecosystem, and that metric is up about 300% as of late. Everything is growing when it comes to SUI lately. However, the SUI token did dip about 15% on the 4th of October. That's okay. Like I said, it has since made new all-time highs and has gone up to $2.35. So not a big deal. That was just a bit of a correction on the way up. And also remember that in September, SUI went up by over 120%. A correction was overdue. It's a little bit volatile when the appreciation of any token's price is this steep, but that's okay. Certainly dips like this are entirely predictable and can be anticipated pretty easily. Like I said, every SUI that you may have gotten under $2 was a pretty great deal in my book. So for the sake of an easy calculation here, let's lock in the price of SUI at $2, just about a penny or so higher than what we're currently seeing reflected on screen, but we'll consider a $2 SUI. Like I said, we want to be millionaires at the height of the next bull market cycle based on the value of SUI. So we're kind of beginning with our goal in mind, $1 million. I think at a $5.5 billion market cap, and given everything that's going right for this project, that SUI is doing well, I think it's safe to assume that we could eventually see a 10x increase in the price of SUI, i.e. not a $2 token price, but a $20 token price. Let's be optimistic and assume that. So if we were to get a $20 per token SUI price, let's take that $1 million that we started with and divide it by the unit cost of $20. And as you can see here, pretty simple math. If we have $1 million worth of SUI at $20, that means we're holding 50,000 SUI tokens. Okay, but that's a future price, right? That's at a $20 SUI token price. If you were to buy those 50,000 tokens today at $2 a piece, you'd be investing $100,000 into that investment, right? $100,000 would buy you 50,000 SUI tokens. I think a 10x is pretty reasonable, but let's both do the conservative and the optimistic contingency case here. So let's say we don't do a 10x. Let's be a little bit more conservative. Let's talk about a 5x here, whether it's in this bull cycle or a little bit further down the road. A 5x for SUI. That means we'd be going from a $2 token price to a $10 token price, right? $2 times 5 equals 10. So let's take our $1 million. Again, that's the endpoint that we want to achieve. Let's divide that by a $10 SUI token price. Pretty simple math here. That's 100,000 SUI tokens. That's what you'd require to have $1 million worth of SUI if each one of them is worth $10. And if you need to acquire 100,000 SUI tokens at current prices, again, we said $2, we're rounding up, so 100,000 times $2 is 200,000. You would need to invest $200,000 into SUI today to own 100,000 tokens to be a millionaire, assuming a 5 times SUI token multiplication. That's a little bit more conservative. Like I said, let's consider a super optimistic case. Let's take $2 where we currently are, multiply that by 20. This is really a best case scenario. So this would generate a $40 SUI token price. If we go back to our $1 million and we divide that by 40, the SUI token price, well, we need 25,000 SUI to be a crypto millionaire at the height of the next bull cycle if the SUI token is one day worth $40. 25,000 SUI tokens times $40 per token would give us $1 million. If we were to acquire the 25,000 tokens today at a $2 price, this is the most optimistic case, that would represent a $50,000 investment. Any one of these scenarios could be a possibility. I think a 20x may be beyond the scope of this bull cycle, but like I said, Solana did a 74x, don't forget, in 2021. Anything is possible in crypto. And if there's a darling in the space, if there's a project that we fully support and endorse as far as the team doing everything fundamentally right, it is SUI. So I think a 40x, if it's not exactly in this upcoming cycle, that is possible one day. Certainly a 5x, I think, is on the more conservative side. Let me know what you think and which one of these predictions is the most realistic. How do you see the price development of the SUI token evolving over the next 12 months? Do you think it will be the Solana of the 2024-2025 bull run? Let me know your thoughts about this one. Curious to hear what you have to say in the comments below.